Hey, this is Paul Cardullo with Gruesome Magazine. I'm here tonight with our very own Doc Rotten to talk about the movie Indiana, which we recently caught at the GenreBlast Film Festival. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing good. This will be an interesting film to discuss. Indiana.
So tell us first a little bit about GenreBlast.
Well, GenreBlast is a really cool film festival up in Northern Virginia. This is its second year that we went to it, and we went to both years. They moved the venue to the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia, which was a great venue to hold this festival. Now, the festival was interesting because it's genre films. It's not just horror, which is normally what we do. So we do get some comedy, and we get some sci-fi, and we get some action films. We get a nice blend, and it is actually really surprising how well this breadth of films hold together as a festival. It's really a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Well, can you tell us a little bit about Indiana?
Well, Indiana is one of the few films that are actually targeted toward horror fans. But even so, you are left wondering, what's really happening. Is it really horror? And in many ways it is, but not in the way that the plot of it might suggest. It is centered around a pair of paranormal investigators who are basically struggling. They're just having trouble keeping up with what it takes to be a paranormal investigator. They end up on a radio show, and they get basically attacked for being these kind of people, and they are a little bit more grounded than what we normally get in supernatural heavy tales for the horror genre. But they do encounter this one house that has a very interesting story happening in it that they get wrapped up in. And that's what makes this film interesting, is what is actually going in this house. Is there a supernatural element? It's all boarded up, and there's this weird fellow involved, and there is something inside. But what is it? Is it supernatural? Is it a ghost? Or is it something else entirely? And in the end, it doesn't matter what it actually is, but what the point of the story is. And that's what this film kind of thrives on, is that point that it tries to make with the conclusion of the film.
So would you say it actually is more of a drama, maybe, with some supernatural trappings almost?
Well, yes, trappings in the case that they are supernatural tropes with the characters. And it doesn't necessarily, I don't want to spoil it, but the supernatural elements end up being a little bit more real than, your ghost story where, the ghosts come up and their faces all stretch out of whack and stuff that we get. It's a little bit more realistic and down to earth, or less fantastical. And I would say that for this film, it's for the better.
Well, what would you say would you have your final thoughts, your favorite scene, and your score?
The final thoughts is that while this film works, it has some trouble with the pacing and the tone of it. It doesn't really have highs and lows. It's pretty much an even keel. The characters never really have much range as far as emotion and everything, and the whole tone of it is almost dour and suffocating at times. And that doesn't work in its favor through as a whole. It kind of, the way the way they wanted this film to work, it's necessary, but as an audience, it doesn't really keep you engaged really well. But outside of that, the ending really is poignant and has some power to it. It really works. And the actors are great. The actors actually do a good job. Gabe Fazio, Bradford West, and Stuart Rudin. My score would be a 3.5, and my favorite scene is probably going to be the finale scene when the main character confronts what's in the house. it actually has some punch to it, and it's it takes a long time to get there, but when you get there, it does reward you. So I like that.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks, Doc, and Ray, say goodnight.
Let's say it. Good night.
Be sure to visit GruesomeMagazine.com to listen to the other Gruesome podcasts, Hard News Radio, and Decades of Horror. Also check out the Gruesome Magazine Quarterly, available in digital and print-on-demand formats.